Hello YouTube, welcome back to Flight Sim World and the second part of taking a look at this JustFlight add-on for Flight Sim World, the PA-28R Arrow III. Last time out we learned how to start this aircraft up. We did a few checks, we switched on the avionics, we tuned up the VORs that we need, and we actually got ourselves taxied over to the runway and did our before takeoff checklist. Now, what are we going to be doing next? Well, we've got the takeoff itself. Takeoff speed for this aircraft is about 65 knots. So we are going to be getting up to 65 knots and then we should see the aircraft lift off. And then we're going to try and get a 90 knot climb, and when we pass 300 feet we're going to try and in fact let me just tune that to make sure that's correct. When we get to 300 feet we're going to retract the flaps, and then we're going to continue on up to about 1,000 feet. We're going to switch off our landing light and our fuel pumps, and then we're going to get onto the VOR once we reach 2,000 feet. So let's see if I can remember to do all of that stuff, and let's get ourselves underway. Parking brakes are released. Calmly bring this up. Very smooth. Now it is a bumpy runway, so we are going to have to make some rudder adjustments. But you can see I'm bringing it up to full power now. We're coming up full power, 65 knots, and we're going to rotate. We are lifting. There we go. We're up. Positive rate. Gear up. And I think we can bring the flaps in now. And like I said, we want a 90 knot climb, so we're going to go 90 knots. We're going to try and keep our heading on 080 though. We are drifting ever so slightly. And that's good. We've picked up the Southampton VOR there. Right, we need to lift the nose a bit more. Actually switch that off now, because we are at a nice 90 knot climb. We're going to switch the landing light off. We're going to switch the fuel pump off. We're actually pretty good to go. We are pretty good to go. Right, I'm actually going to get this aircraft trimmed so it's doing a 90 knot climb for me, which it now is. That was very easy to trim. Very easy aircraft to take off, very easy aircraft to trim right there. I've just left it in maximum power, and we're doing 90 knots. We're climbing very, very nicely. Let's take a look outside what it looks like. There it is. Not looking too shabby at all. It is twisting a little bit, which I'm surprised about. What we're going to do now though is we're going to get the autopilot running, and we're going to be looking at if we can get this right VOR. So if we twist this knob right here, the observation knob, around, we're looking for this arrow. Let me zoom in over here actually so you guys can see that better. We're looking for this arrow to go from to to. So at the moment it's from, so we'll swing it around, and we want the needles to be aligned, so we want a nice crosshair, and that looks to be it. There we go. We're still climbing. We're at 3,000 feet currently, and as you can see the DME is now coming to play, but we're going to show you that afterwards. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the aircraft onto a course of whatever that is. So that looks like about 096. So we'll turn the aircraft now. We are in the cloud, so we can't really see too far where we're going, but we are turning the aircraft correctly. There we go. It's about 100 at the moment, but that's alright. Like so. And then we're going to get the autopilot running. Now the autopilot here is very simple. We want to look at this mode. We've got nav mode, omni, heading, localizer. Now we're going to use nav mode here because it takes wind into account. So we're going to definitely use the nav mode. We want to make sure that we're in nav 1, otherwise we're going to be looking at the wrong VOR station. So nav 1 is the one we're tuned to. and all we got to do is switch the autopilot on. There we go. Perfect. Now this autopilot does not have a... actually, I want to bring it down. I want to level off at 4,000 feet. That was just absolutely perfect. This aircraft does not have altitude hold by default, but to make it easy for people to fly, they've actually added an altitude hold. So what you do is, if you middle click on this, it will just hold whatever altitude you've just selected. So we're at about 4,100 feet. It's now going to try and hold that altitude for us, and there it goes. So it's doing that for you. So that is a neat little trick if you're not too used to trimming the aircraft, or you just want to, you know, not worry too much about trimming it absolutely perfectly. You can do that, and just by middle clicking on that, it will hold the altitude. So there we go. So obviously we've got various modes here. We've got Nav and Omni essentially do almost the same thing. Omni is used more for approaches, whilst Nav is used for general VOR to VOR flying. Heading hold will just do whatever heading you've selected is going to hold that heading. It's not going to account for wind or anything, so you do need to make sure you account for crosswinds, whilst Nav mode is going to intercept a radial and then fly that radial, accounting for the wind, and so will Omni mode. And then Localizer is your standard Localizer mode, where it'll intercept a localizer. It's more sensitive because of obviously the ILS frequencies are a lot more sensitive because you're trying to land an aircraft. Not a bad view. Not a bad view. See, this is the sort of view where Flight Sim World does excel at. About 4,000 foot and above, it really does start to look fairly good. So, let's have a look at the checklist. Don't press that button, that's power. We've taken off, we've done that. We've done the climb. Fuel pump is off, yep, that's all fine. Everything's fine. And then power, refer to performance tables and change every 15 minutes. So the fuel selector, I'll talk about the fuel selector actually. Let me just have a look at it. The fuel selector down here, the reason we change it every 15 minutes is because we'll have an imbalance otherwise in the fuel tank. So I'm going to change it actually when I get to, in 8 minutes time, once I get to Southampton, I'm going to change it. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. So in the meantime, let's show you this. So you can see over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. We're up and away. We can start looking over to different frequencies. So let's have a look at this one. So we had that frequency. As you can see, it's got the same distance because we're on the same one. But if we were to go for example, 114.35, which is 114.35 right there. That's Compton. Now Compton is a lot of airliners coming in use the Compton Transition, and that is that's how far that is. So it's 38 miles away. So we can have a look at the distance to a different station. Whilst when we've got our navigation on other systems, we can take a look at the distance to, for example, a transition one. If you're flying a full IFR transition. So that's pretty good. Now if we go to GST on the other side, gives us our ground speed, which is 135 knots, and how far away we are, 16 minutes away. So we've got the frequency, the GST, which if you look at the remote, it's sort of the same thing here. So it shows essentially what you see on the remote, and that allows you to then change the frequency. That being said, I'm just wondering whether I tuned Goodwood correctly. I can't. I've just got to think whether I've tuned that correctly. I think it was 114.75. We're about to find out. We will find out in a few minutes. So yeah, that's how you use this DME. It's a very simple system, and of course, if I show you this, we can switch. Nav 2, there you go. So that switches now to this one down here, which is Goodwood. Nav 1, Southampton, gives you a distance and how long it's going to take to get there. So if you look ahead of us, it's actually Southampton ahead of us. We're going to start flying over it. We're going to start flying over Southampton. So that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Now, what else can we have a look at, actually? Yeah, let's have a look at the flight computer. There we go, whilst we're in the air. Flight computer, you've got the outside temperature in both Celsius and Fahrenheit. You've got your ground speed, your speed in miles per hour, knots, and kilometers an hour. So we're doing 156 miles an hour, or 135 knots ground speed. Endurance, we've got 5 hours 11 minutes of fuel. So we'll be able to take this plane for 5 hours 11 minutes, or we'll be able to take it for 702 nautical miles, 808 statute miles, or 1,300 kilometers. Nautical miles per gallon, we're doing 9, or normal miles per gallon, we're doing 11, which is pretty poor performance. We've got obviously information about pressures and stuff. We've got airspeed, true airspeed, we've got our track, we've got our fuel flow, and we've got the amount of fuel that we've currently used. So we've used 2.8 gallons at the moment. So we'll get rid of that. That's the flight computer. It comes in very handy, actually, for doing calculations. Let's have a look at this. That needle's moved a little bit. So we're going to be okay. I think, like I said, if we switch over in 5 minutes or so, we should be absolutely fine. What I really want to do, that's not what I meant to do. I want to see if there's anything else I can do here. We've got 5 minutes to sort of kill, so I want to see if there's anything else I can do. I don't think there is much to show. We're going to wait till we're about 5 miles out, and then we're going to turn towards Goodwood. Let's have a look outside the aircraft again. There's Southampton below us, right there. See it all coming into view. I still don't like the pop-in of Flight Sim World. They do need to improve upon that. But yeah, we've got a little bit of turbulence. Let's have a look at the different views. We've got the right seat, of course. It's a good view there as well. We've got the radio stack, which just allows us to. It's actually zoomed in a little bit more than I would have liked, but there we go. That looks pretty good. There's our circuit breakers. That's our trim. Like I said, I've got this trimmed up nicely anyway. And here's our passenger seat. So you can see the passenger seat. I actually can't really move anything. I look like I'm actually sitting on top of the seat from this position. It looks like I am. But it's not a bad view. Not a bad view at all. To see Southampton out that way. So we'll see. It's not too bad. Again, looking from the outside. See, from this height it doesn't look so bad, the terrain. But when you get closer it does start looking a little bit rough, I should say. But there we go. Everything's looking fine. You can see the rotating beacon on. I don't know if there's a better angle for it. There you go. Much better angle. Rotating beacon. Working very nice. It's an expensive aircraft. I have to say, this aircraft is expensive at some... Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Got a lot of stress here. We're going to get stress on the engine and on the aircraft. Looks like we've got a lot of turbulence in this area. Oh, wow. I hope this doesn't affect the aircraft too much. What I'm also going to do now, though, is I'm going to set this up. So again, we're looking for the 2 indicator. We're going to see if we can tune this up very nicely, because we're going to start flying towards Goodwood very soon. So that looks like it's about right. So we're going to do that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to show, this is very easy, we can just flick this switch. So we're about 4 miles from the Southampton VOR. If we go down here and look at this switch here, if we just switch this to nav 2, like so, we're now going to bank towards Goodwood. There we go. Very simple, very simple and effective autopilot system we have over here. What we're also going to do is we're going to have a look at the Adf frequency for the airport we're landing at, which is Shoreham. So Shoreham's NDB is going to be 332, and we've got to make sure that's in ADF mode. So 3-3. So the middle one is the units, that's the tens. Then we've got the hundreds over here. So 332, and then that's the thousands. Oh, it should be. It must just go up like that in one go. Okay, so that's going to be this over here. Now I don't know how well this is going to work, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now we don't need to worry about the Southampton one anymore, so we're going to switch this over to nav 2, and we're going to see how far we are from Goodwood. So we're 24.4 nautical miles from Goodwood, which is in that direction. Shoreham's just about there as well. So this is going to be quite fun. This is going to be quite fun. So we just have to wait this one out. You can open this window as well. Don't want to open it up in the air, but if you unlatch that, you can pop open that window. It's a good view down there, actually. Some of the houses look okay. Other houses don't. They still look a little bit too European. Should we have a bit of a play with this? I have literally no idea how to use this. That's where we're headed from and to, by the way. Echo Sierra Hotel Alpha, Echo Sierra Kilo Alpha. I have no idea how to use that. Alright. Switch on nav 2, we can have a listen to it. Hopefully. Anytime now. Quite nice. There it is. That's fine. So that's the Morse code identifier for Goodwood. And then we can do the same with the ADF. So that allows us to know which one we're actually on. So if we've tuned it in and then we listen to the Morse code identifier, if we know what the Morse code identifier is, if we've made a mistake on tuning it, we'll hear it and go, oh, hang on, that's not, you know, it's not 3 dashes, 4 dots, 1 dash. It's 3 dashes, 4 dots, 2 dots or something, and that wasn't what I had, so I need to change this. So yeah. Alright, now how far away are we? We're 19 nautical miles away. This ADF indicator doesn't really seem to be doing anything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over the fuel tank now. As you can see, that's now about 35, so I'm going to switch over to this one. And the remainder of the journey will be done on the right fuel tank. Very, very simple, very easy to do. I'm actually going to ease off the power a bit now as well. Something like that. That's probably quite good. Okay, we can also adjust this to work out our true airspeed, as you can see. So you adjust for temperature. So if we actually go to the computer and we look at the temperature, it's 15. So if we go to the right temperature, actually that's about right, I believe. Is that how it works? I'm not entirely sure how this. I mean, that there seems to be matching up with that, so I'm assuming that's how it works. Get rid of this again. Come on. Why is that not going away now? Ah, there we go. That's what it was. That needs to be down there. Get rid of that. Oh no. Get rid of that. There we go. Absolutely fine. I do wish that was smaller. It's a little bit in the way. A little bit obtrusive. Right, we're 14 miles away from Goodwood. What am I going to do? I'm actually going to end this episode here. So that's part 2. Part 3 is going to be the descent. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on Flight Sim World. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think. And do join me for part 3 where I bring this aircraft down for the first time for me and see if I can land this at Shoreham Airfield. And do also tune in for Flight Sim tutorials. They will be coming very, very soon. If not, maybe the first one might be already out. And do obviously tune in on this in the next episode. Like I said, you'll also hear my final thoughts on this. And if you do want to purchase this, you can purchase this on Steam or at JustFlight. I think it's $27.99, so it is a bit expensive, but do tune in for the next episode to know my final thoughts. Last but not least, do support me on Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below. Your support would be massively, massively appreciated. I would really, really appreciate that support. And of course, you'll get some rewards on the other end as well. I'll see you guys next time.